I'm sure lots of you very much looking forward to this Sunday when Clare welcome Waterford to Zimmer by Met Park Heasog for their first game in the round robin of the Munster Senior Hurling Championship game. Of course, you can hear live here on Clare FM. And to talk about that and the weekends of the sport, we're joined now by our sports editor, Derrick Lynch. Derrick, obviously a game to really look forward to. Start of the championship. Clare will be hoping, in contrast to previous last couple of years, to start with a win. And themselves and Waterford kind of differing form. Clare had a great 1B campaign, 100% record, beat Dublin in the final, promotion as well, while Waterford heading in the opposite direction. But of course, League and Championship, very different beasts altogether.
Yeah, certainly are. And I suppose just to offset for anybody that hasn't heard the team news yet this morning, Eibhear Quilligan is in goal. Our full back line will be Rory Hayes, Conor Cleary and Adam Hogan. Niall O'Farrell of Broadford is set for his championship debut at centre back. Dermot Ryan and Cathal Malone are on the wings. Darragh Lohan and Tony Kelly at midfield. The half forward line will be Peter Duggan, Ryan Taylor and Sean Rinn. An inside line then of Shane Meehan, Mark Rogers and David Reedy. It means that among the bench will be John Conlon, Shane O'Donnell, Conor Lean, David Fitzgerald. It's fairly stacked. The likes of Dermot Stritch, Jack O'Neill and Sinan Dunford also there as well, alongside Keane Galvin. So I do expect changes to that team, I have to say. If Shane O'Donnell is listed on the match day 26, I don't envisage a scenario where he doesn't start. I would say there'll be plenty of positional switches as well. Ryan Taylor for me goes to midfield, Kelly comes to 11, and there could be a couple of other little switches around like that as well. So it keeps it interesting. Maybe Peter Duggan goes to the edge of the square and David Reedy comes out around the half forward line. So as ever, Brian has kept people guessing. He's a master at that. He learned from the master of it, I suppose, in Ger Loughnane. So we'll have to be waiting until about 1:30, 20-2 on Sunday, I think, before we know exactly what the situation's going to be. Yeah, in terms of the form, Waterford relegated out of 1A, but with some really good performances. You know, very unlucky not to hold out against Kilkenny. Okay, didn't show up in a couple of games, but beat Limerick. And then from a Clare point of view, we know what happened, winning the 1B. So effectively the two sides are nearly passing each other out on the way up and down. But from a Clare point of view, like 12 months ago in Walsh Park, well beaten on the day in what was probably one of Clare's poorest performances in a while. And the year before was that famous 65 that was it or wasn't it? Now it turns out it was, but the umpire that gave the call hadn't one iota of a clue when I think he was just staring down at the tunnel thinking he had 80 or 90 yards to get down as far as there if he didn't give it for Clare. So Mark Rogers put it over from 64 metres out for a finish. Look, it's a high profile fixture obviously, and I think both teams coming into Sunday will be saying a victory here sets us up for a shot at getting out of Munster. I think a defeat really puts either side on the back foot, so it's just simply a massive game.
And the way it works out for Clare, we've discussed it before, Derrick, the run of fixtures, the schedule, they couldn't have asked for any better. 2 home games first, then comes the break, and they can go refreshed for the 2 big away games. So I guess to make the most of that run of fixtures, you really do need to start with, as I say, unlike previous years, the last couple of years, they need to start with a win.
Yeah, this sets the tone, this sets the mood, and like I say that fully aware of the fact that Clare have lost their opening game in the Munster Championship, including in 2024 on a number of occasions, and still gone on to fairly do all right. But I think just the way it has fallen, it sets up a huge opportunity, because not only do Clare have a fortnight of a break after Sunday before Limerick come to town, but remember Limerick come off the back of having gone to Páirc Uí Chaoimh the previous week, where things won't be easy down there. Like, so Clare will have had that extra bit of a break, they'll have had time to watch both teams. I'm sure Brian and the lads have their tickets secured for that particular one. So yeah, it's looking nice. Then you go to Thurles, where we've had an okay record in recent years, and finish off down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh against Cork, and who knows what the permutations and the table standings will be by the time all that comes around. But look, at all that's irrelevant. We can look ahead to it in terms of laying out what's down the road, but for everybody else it's just all about Sunday. 2 points by hook or by crook, and move on.
Okay, well look, you can hear that game live in Clare FM, 2 p.m. throw in on Sunday afternoon at Zimmer by Met Park Heasog. Obviously you'll be previewing that this evening. Derrick, will you be reflecting on heartbreak and disappointment for Clare's under 20 footballers? Looked like they were going to get a win against Waterford, but unfortunately pipped at the post, 3 late frees and losing by the minimum in Kilmehel.
Yeah, it was a massive win for Waterford. First of all, the scenes of their celebrations, it was like a championship final for them, really, because like Waterford football is probably at the moment where Clare football was maybe a decade or 12 years ago when Colin Collins came in 2014. I think Waterford football is on a similar journey right now, and they're making similar strides. That have been disappointed to lose the senior at the weekend, obviously, but their minors and 20s have now come to West Clare and won. So that for development for them is absolutely massive, and credit to them for the way they finished the game. Clare, though, will be hugely disappointed, leading 1-8 to 5 points at half time, and played okay in the second half. Got a really good goal to Derrick but conceded a poor one a mere 60 seconds later. And from there, Waterford just had all the momentum. I have to say, and look, obviously we're biased in saying this, but I thought there was a question mark around the last free that the referee gave that proved to be the winning score. Thought it was of the soft variety, to be honest. But that being said, there was a point for Clare in the first half that was at least 2 foot to the left hand side of the post that they gave as a score. So look, at these things tend to balance themselves out, I suppose, over the course of a championship game. But it was interesting talking to Dermot Coughlin after the match. We'll hear more from him on our lunchtime bulletin on Clare FM. But he was saying that he felt they were just tired, that they flagged a little bit, and it's been a tough old schedule, and they obviously went to the well against Cork 7 days ago. But it doesn't get any easier, because 6 days now is the turnaround for going to Tralee to take on Kerry. And because Cork beat them last night down in Super Value Park Equive, it means that Kerry now have to go and win that game. If Kerry had won last night, they'd have been through. I'm not saying they take the foot off the pedal, but it might have been an easier task, So now you're facing a Kerry team that need a result, because Waterford and Cork will both be eyeing up a spot in the final as well. But in a lot of ways, it hasn't changed a whole pile for Clare. They still were probably having to go and try and get a result in Kerry anyway, but it's just about recovery now. Like Daniel Brodie came off last night with a hamstring injury. Don't think he'll be right on time for it. So it's just about mentally and physically how fresh they are again for what will be a daunting task in Austin Stack Park.
Okay, what else is on the agenda for Sideline View this evening from 6?
We'll have a look ahead to the Clare Cup, the Ennis Carpets Clare Cup quarter-finals. There's 3 of those down for decision this weekend. We'll also have the latest in our club profile series. This week we're focusing on a club not too far away from where I'm sitting right now in Park Nivera in Quilty. We'll be talking to the chairman of Clamurray Brick and Michael Constantine. So all that to come this evening from 6. And as you say, there might be a little sprinkling of hurling talk thrown into it as well.
And people are very much looking forward to that. Derrick, thank you very much. Make sure you check out Sideline View this evening with Derrick from 6.